Hello, everyone, and this is a special edition of just the Poulters Talk Sports podcast. As Ron Rivera has broke some news, or at least sources from Peter Thamel, that head football coach of Cal football, Justin Wilcox, will not coach another game for the California Golden Bears. He's been let go after losing to Stanford in a blowout. To be honest, just incredibly lackluster game where they got blown out by Stanford in a game they were favored and just seemed like a game. And I want to, before we get fully into things, full credit to Stanford last night. I covered both teams, and Stanford just, it seems like they wanted to break that streak, even though they appear to have the worst team, the worst, like, a lot of things on that team are not as good talent wise as Cal. But Cal just absolutely did not show up, especially in a rivalry game. It's just unacceptable. There was already people like calling for Justin Wilcox's head, and you never want to be like actively asking for someone to be fired because it just kind of sucks, especially when you have to talk to him. I went to big game press conference earlier this week. I was covering the game against Virginia a couple of weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago now. And like, I've talked to the guy. Like, he clearly did want to win. He clearly had support in that locker room. But let me see if I can bring it up here. But at his tenure in 9 years at Cal, he was 48-55. His last winning record was in 2019. And he has never, in his tenure, 9 years at Cal, had a over 500 record in league, whichever league, be it the Pac-12 or ACC. And for what Cal wants to be, that is unacceptable. And like, there's going to be a lot of questions. This is a turbulent time for Cal football, especially with Jaron Kiave Sangapulatele keeping him in the house. It was named that former Washington State head coach and this year Cal offensive assistant or analyst, I guess, Nick Rolovich, who has a local kid at San Marin High School, will be taking over an interim basis for the rest of the season. I do not expect him to be a candidate, but you can never know what they'll do. He has a very close relationship with Jaron Kiave Sangapulatele, and everything this offseason is about keeping Jaron. If you can keep Sangapulatele, I don't care what happens. I don't care about what the recruits are. You keep that quarterback in-house, and Cal has a chance to do great things next year, whichever head first-year head coach comes in. Let me see if I can bring up some of these. All right. So, first thing, man who broke it, Peter Thamel. One of the best insiders in all of college football, and you could say a lot of sports in general. I've met him out in Napa a couple of times. Great gentleman, great guy, has good goddamn sources. But Cal has fired Justin Wilcox, and it kind of just felt, because, like, okay, a little more context as well. Ron Rivera, and we'll get to some of the drama that appears to be involved with this entire situation, but Ron Rivera was given the keys, and it appears even more obvious now that Ron Rivera was given the keys by the chancellors and just whoever has the true power at Cal. Ron Rivera has the keys to shape this program how he chooses. Same with Andrew Luck at Stanford. It's the GM position. And he said, we need to win 8 or 9 games this year. That's the standard set at Cal. And that should have been the first gigantic red flare of, like, you need to win, Wilcox. He had to win, and he didn't. What's really frustrating is, like, I like this staff a lot. They recruited pretty well. They're all good guys, like good coaches that you're just like, you want to root for them. I'm not like, this is not one of those moments where it's like, yes, because there are people out on social media, on Twitter, that are celebrating right now that this is their Super Bowl. They are so happy that Justin Wilcox is no longer coaching their team. And as someone who's follow/cover the team, I am a little sad because I do think, like, I fully expect he will be a defensive coordinator next year for somewhere in the Big Ten, or the SEC, and he's going to kill it. He's going to be an amazing coach next season for whoever he ends up being the DC for. And he's going to get another high profile job in like 2 years. 1,000%. And he's probably going to do okay. It just did not work out at Cal because Cal wants to be more than what the world sees Cal as, especially with Ron Rivera as the GM. They want to be pushing for ACC titles. They want to be seen as more than just a nice little story or the Calgorithm funny meme people. Cal wants more. And to be honest, Cal has the money to, like, that's the biggest thing. I've talked with people and I've talked with journalists around the, like even just like casual sports fans. Like, they're not going to be able to keep Jaron Chiave Sangapulatele. And that's where it gets dicey because I think they can, but it won't be because of money. Because Cal has the boosters. There will be whatever bag that Jaron wants and whatever form, it will appear at his doorstep legally with the NIL money. But it's, does he want to be a part of what this future is building? Or does he want to take the, not easy route, but the route of he could transfer to LSU? Like, let's say Lane Kiffin goes to LSU. He could transfer there and he becomes the true Heisman favorite next year. But I think he could also be a Heisman candidate at Cal. He is that special. And it also sounds from his parents like he has talked recently about his commitment to Cal. He wants to be at Cal. Of course, coaching changes can change that because this was the staff that brought him in. He is very close with new interim head coach Nick Rolovich, but I don't think Rolovich will be. I could see a very interesting world, and we'll get to some candidates here in a second, where Rolovich could be, and this may be below Rolovich because like he does see himself as a head coach. He basically himself took him, self-fired himself at Washington State. And he fits that perfect role of that power, like the small four, the Washington State, the Oregon State, the UNLV, like a Boise State almost, Idaho, like Montana, or like that not top conference. It's not like he's not going to coach in the Big Ten. He's not going to coach in the SEC. But he is one of those people that will have a head coaching job sooner than later, just because he is that gifted, like as a people person and as a recruiter. I think he, especially like Oregon State, makes a lot of sense if something doesn't happen at like Sacramento State or something like that. Overall, this is a massive turning point for this program, and it's not guaranteed to work out. Justin Wilcox would always bring you a steady 6-6, 7-5, 6-7 level of play. It would never be better, but it would never be worse. There's always, like, a great example is this season. He is going to lose to San Diego State. Flat out, like, Cal should never lose to San Diego State if they want to be the program they are. San Diego State was a little bit better, but like San Diego State got blown out by Washington State, a team that's okay. But then they beat Louisville. And he always has those glimpses, those little boom, you can point at those like, oh, like Louisville, or like a couple years ago, I guess last year with beating Auburn in Alabama. Those are marquee wins, but then there's always, you should have beat Miami in College Game Day. You should have beat Stanford this year. Your offense gave up 21 points. Your defense only allowed 10 points to Stanford, and you lost by nearly 20. Was it 25 last night? That was an embarrassing loss. Stanford put like, not even like in an impressive way, because Stanford didn't play well. Stanford's offense was like abysmal, but then they also started to run the shit that Virginia Tech was running, and you still couldn't figure it out, and you're still dealing with penalties. it was time. And like the other question, and like there's two ways you can think of this. One is a little bit scared, and one is you have just the cojones. Because keep in mind, let me see if I can bring this up real quick. And a lot of people have described this as a crazy football time. So the jobs that are open right now, let me see if I can bring this boy over here. So we got LSU that's open. We have Penn State that's open. We have Florida that's open. We have Auburn that's open. Oklahoma State that's open. Arkansas's open. Stanford's open. UCLA's open. And so much more. Florida State this afternoon announced that they're retaining their head coach because they didn't say this out loud, but they basically said there's not enough good candidates to go around for us to make a move this year because they're down the pecking order. They're not beating an LSU. They're not beating, well, maybe they beat Florida, but like Penn State, there's a lot of these big time jobs that they're like, where does Cal rank on all those things? I would probably put them over like the Stanford job, but like if you're a guy in the SEC or a hot young coach or like the Tulane coach, or like also Old Miss is probably going to be available when Lane Kiffin leaves. Oklahoma State, I think is an absolute trash job. I don't think that's this, but that doesn't matter. This is a ESPN article ranking bullshit. This is an awful time to be looking for a head coach, unless you know what you want already, that you're going for what you're looking for and you know what you want. You're not going to just be like, ooh, we're like window dressing. Maybe we'll get this guy. This is the type of move that unless Ron Rivera is flying by the seat of the pants, which we do not know yet, of what could be available. And there's a couple names that very much come up instantly. I'm going to go to this Kyle Bonagura. He's at ESPN. Used to, when he was on the local prep beat stuff, used to talk to him a bunch. Great guy. But one of the big names is, I think he's, let me double check his title at Oregon right now, but Tosh. Tosh is the name that is a very controversial name with Cal right now. So Tosh is one of, let me bring this bad boy over here. So Tosh is a local kid. He went to De La Salle, super powerhouse of the Bay Area. He's 44. He has never been a head coach before, but he is a Cal Berkeley alumni. This is his home. He is one of, if not the best defensive recruiter in the country. He used to be on Cal's staff back during, let me double check here. Beep. Let me see, where was he at? Doesn't matter for now. But he coached at Cal and eventually got either poached or he found his way to Washington, and then a whole bunch of recruits from that team headed north with him to Washington. One major example being Shaq Thompson, who was a local Northern California kid out of the Sacramento area, who eventually went to the NFL, who's like a 5-star linebacker, 2-way prospect. And he ended up originally was at Cal, then went to Washington. But Tosh is the name a lot of people want. Mainly, his recruiting is really, really, I cannot stress this, really good. There's a lot of question marks of, does he have the ability to be a head coach, or is he kind of the perfect assistant? I think he's probably the candidate you have to go for first and see what happens, especially what Kyle Bonagura is saying, where I think if he ends up as your coach, you hire someone to be your offensive coordinator, maybe even Rolovich, who's the intern coach right now, who has a great relationship with Jaron Kiave Sangapulatele. Keep him in-house. The amount of recruits, Tofi, but the local kids are all going to Cal. He knows how to recruit the South. He used to coach at Alabama. He knows how the West Coast works. The West Coast does not have linemen usually, or if they do, they're usually very big projects. There's not the big old far country boy from Wisconsin who's been drinking corn since he's 6. But we have the skill guys. I would bet, especially quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, the West Coast has some of the absolute best skill position guys, and especially on the cornerback safety side as well. Anywhere else in the country, it is a gold mine being ready to be farmed by Cal if they hire Tosh. But the question is, does Tosh want this job? He's right now being paid very well to be basically the second in command at Oregon. Is Cal coming home a good enough job for him to? Because there is Cal is not a school where anyone can go to Cal. A lot of times they have to have slight requirements. There's a lot of other things with Cal where it's a lot of people were like, oh, do they really want to come to the Bay Area, even though the campus is gorgeous and the stadium and all these things that are really, really nice. The brand new training facility that I saw last week is stunning. But how much will the boosters come out for him and get him the money he needs to get these recruits, because that is legal now. You can just be like, how much do you want? As well, an NIL representative can ask, how much would you like? And you get it work. And Cal has the alumni. Money is usually not an issue for Cal. It's convincing people, especially when you look at this season where they're on pace, they're probably going to lose to SMU this week. They're going to go to a bowl game. Maybe they win the bowl game. But you're also traveling across the country almost every week. There's no local travel. It's not as Berkeley's not the sexiest college pick when it comes to oh, I really want to go to a crazy, but there's a lot to like about Cal, and Ron Rivera has the keys when it comes to this. And I'm intrigued to see what candidates and what rumors come out, because it was clear, and there's something I want to talk about Dieter Kurtenbach brought up. So let's zoom in here, because this is something I did not know, but makes a lot of sense. Though I had been hearing some things. So Dieter Kurtenbach, local Bay Area news group columnist, said, Ron Rivera firing Justin Wilcox will be a regrettable decision unless he has Tosh signed and soon to be delivered. Because if you can have Tosh in the next week or two verbally commit that he is coming to Cal, it is astronomical for the program. But if this coaching search goes on until December or after the bowl game, into January, there's a worry that you're going to be the person at the ball with no date. And you're just who do you go to then? Do you just hire Musgrave? Do you hire a side, do you hire the side chick? Or do you want to ask out your girl? There's a chance your girl don't want you. The second line is even juicier. Dieter heard from more than a few people this year that there was some power struggle when Rivera came in. Rivera came in this year to be the GM / just have the keys. Wilcox thought he'd be a figurehead, handle the politics stuff he didn't want to do or / Wilcox isn't very good at. Ron Rivera disagreed, and he just pulled rank. This is more clear than ever. Ron Rivera has the keys this decision is on Ron Rivera. The future of Cal is based on the decisions and the direction of Ron Rivera. And we don't know if that's a good thing yet. In theory, it is. I've talked to Ron, like we had the press conference last week. I was in the room. He knows what he wants. He wants Cal to be good. He lives for this university. He lives for this thing. He seems like someone who's going to want to be here. Like there's no NFL jobs like that he likes going to go calling for. This is his NFL job. But I'm really intrigued to see what the future holds for Cal. The other thing that Kyle Bonagura recommended that he think would be a good pick is Ryan Grubb, which is someone I didn't think of, but could make a lot of sense. Ryan Grubb currently was the former Washington offensive coordinator. Last year, he was with the Seahawks, and it was an absolute disaster. He's clearly a college guy. His NFL things did not work out, but he's currently the offensive coordinator at the University of Alabama with his former head coach that left from Washington. And he is known he didn't really want to move to Alabama. So it kind of makes a lot of sense. Cal is on the West Coast, nice climate. You don't have to worry. He's also used to recruiting and kind of knows the California West Coast landscape, as I talked before. And if you can keep Jaron Kiabe-Sanga-Pulatele, Ryan Grubb could be an intriguing option because he's known for, and this is, there's going to be, especially when he gets to the draft, because he's the left-handed quarterback and because he has an absolute cannon, Jaron Kiabe-Sanga-Pulatele is going to be compared to Michael Penix, who was the one guy who figured out how to use Michael Penix. Ryan Grubb at Washington. The one, like the year he was there for that's I guess maybe I think they were there for 2, but that's his final season at Washington before he went in the NFL draft to the Atlanta Falcons. Ryan Grubb was able to massively unlock one of the just an astronomical offense. And if you put Ryan Grubb with Jaron, that could be nasty. Like that's a 45 point a game type of mamma mia offense, especially because everything. And Ron has been very, very stern. Like we've asked him a couple times, do you think you can just flatly, do you think you'll be able to keep Jaron Kiabe-Sanga-Pulatele? And every single time he said yes. Do we know if he believes that himself? Even supposedly in conversations not on the record, or with other people just in talking, it sounds like he's confident. With a coaching change always opens that door for him to be like, I was committed and then you got rid of my head coach. But I think Wilcox had to go. I hope they don't lose Jaron Kiabe-Sanga-Pulatele because he is the centerpiece. He is the jewel. He could be the best quarterback in college football next year. And every single wide receiver, every single tight end, every single running back, offensive lineman, who isn't wanting to transfer to Cal to play with him? Like, if he stays, I could see 10 new players starting on offense just to be here. Like, are you hey, let's say you're the top wide receiver in the portal, unless you only want money, and they can still get the money. But let's say you really want playing time and you really want, let's say you're a former 5-star recruit, or it didn't work out at Alabama or Tennessee, or maybe you're a lower division, a guy coming up from Montana or Montana State, UC Davis. Wouldn't you want to be thrown to by Sanga-Pulatele? Yeah, that's where I would go, unless you can't make it into Cal. But you're probably only there for a year anyway, or maybe 2. You're not going for a degree when you're playing football. This is a very, very key stretch, which will, like I said, this is a top 5 most important time in the history of Cal football. Because on one axle, you could be good enough if you keep Jaron Kiabe-Sanga-Pulatele. You could be a dark horse playoff team because the ACC is so crazy. On the other end, you lose Jaron. You lose all the recruits. You hire the wrong guy. And the program doesn't exist in 3 years when realignment happens again. And maybe you're just not a football, like, you just don't play football anymore. Those are two options that legitimately both could happen. What fork in the road does Ron take? Does he lead it down the right fork? Of course, he doesn't know what's on the end of that fork. But will his decision be correct? From talking with Ron, I think he has the best interests of Cal in mind. It's just, can it get there? And that's what I'm really, really intrigued to see. I'm going to see what's happened on Twitter in the last 25 minutes. I'll be back soon. I'll probably be a press conference on Tuesday, which will be a little different than last week. I'll be there. I'll see you then. And everyone, I've been Daniel Poulter. If you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you soon, everyone.